Forget about December. We are creating some Christmas magic today. We're going to be making some festive projects so dazzling it'll light up your summer like a Christmas tree. My video today is in collaboration with Shannon from the Cozy Christmas Cottage and a whole lineup of fantastic DIYers. I know they are going to create some magic as well. Well, I think we should just jump right in and get started. Now, I love Christmas village houses. I have them all over my house during the holidays. I put them inside of jars. I've created displays out of them. I have big houses, small houses, medium-sized houses. I love them all. Well, last year I purchased a couple of these Dollar Tree village houses, but I never got around to giving them a makeover. So we are going to create custom village houses that are going to be unrecognizable when we're finished with them. These little village houses are too bright for my particular style. They've got some bright reds, they've got blacks, yellows, oranges, all kinds of colors. We need a neutral backdrop. So I'm going to take 3 of my village houses outside and I'm going to spray them in some white gloss Rust-Oleum spray paint. I made sure that the Christmas village houses were completely covered in the spray paint. Once everything was painted, I let them dry for an hour. Because these Christmas village houses are so vibrant, especially the ones with the red on it, we need to do 2 coats because it's already bleeding through. I sprayed them in another coat of the Rust-Oleum spray paint. Once I had sprayed the second coat over the surface of the village houses, I let it dry for an additional hour. Look at how fabulous they look now. We needed a neutral backdrop because now we can add embellishments to them. We have so many fantastic holiday pieces to add. I already have several small village houses, and we are going to be incorporating our Dollar Tree village houses in with these more expensive village houses. You can see right now these village houses are so detailed. Some of them have silver roofs. There are some that have gold on them. There are pearls, trees, and sparkles. They're so detailed, and we really want to create a similar house with our Dollar Tree items so they incorporate together. The first thing we need to do is add some sparkle and shine to our houses. So I got some Mod Podge and glitter. I purchased this white glitter at Michael's. I am going to paint on this Mod Podge. I painted the Mod Podge on with my paintbrush. I simply just put it over the areas that had snow on them originally. I also painted some Mod Podge around the windows and on the ledges, down by the door, just in random places. Once I had that Mod Podge on the house, I took my glitter and I sprinkled it over the top of the Mod Podge. You don't need a heavy coat, just a light dusting will be fine. Once the Mod Podge had been covered in glitter, I shook the excess glitter off the house, and now look at how cute it is. Nothing says Christmas like some shimmer and shine, and this glitter does just that. Once my first village house had the glitter all over it, I moved on to my second village house and I did the exact same thing. I just painted on that Mod Podge right over the areas that had snow on it originally, then added Mod Podge over a few other areas. I scattered the glitter over the Mod Podge. Once it had been covered, I shook off the excess and then moved on to my third village house. I repeated this process. I painted on the Mod Podge to different areas on the house. I added the glitter and then shook it off. Once the glitter had been sprinkled onto all 3 houses, I let the Mod Podge dry for 2 hours. Now that the Mod Podge is dry, we are going to highlight all of the raised details around the windows and the doors and any other areas on the houses. We are going to do it with a Dollar Tree gold paint pen. I simply took my paint pen and I drew along the raised edges. I did this around the windows, the design in the center. I did it on the roof line, the door, just all over these houses. I want those raised details to be highlighted, and the gold paint pen does just that. Once I had highlighted my first house in the gold paint pen, I moved on and did the second house. I'm just highlighting those raised details. It really makes a difference. It makes them stand out, and it's also a fantastic color contrast. The gold is going to fit in perfectly with the other gold houses. Once I had the details highlighted on all 3 of my houses, I let the paint pen dry for about 10 minutes. One of the houses that I already had stuck out to me, and I really wanted to mimic this area right here. You can see it's got some greenery around the steeple, and I remembered I had some greenery left over from last year. I purchased this wreath last year at Target, and I knew it would be a perfect way not only to bring in some detail into our village houses, but a much needed color contrast as well. I'm going to wrap this greenery around the center of the house. I got some hot glue and hot glued the wire to the house. I'm going to wrap it around the center. I'm hot gluing as I go. This greenery is wired, so it will go around the edges of my house beautifully. Once I got back to the beginning, I cut the wire with my clippers and then hot glued the end to the house. On my second house, I'm going to add the greenery to the top of the turret. This is such a fun way to highlight this architectural detail. Once I had the greenery hot glued in place, I moved on to my third house. I'm going to be hot gluing the greenery to the center again. There are grooves in this house, so it's really easy to hot glue the greenery right to the center. Once I got back to the starting point, I clipped the wire and hot glued the ends in place. I love the way the greenery adds dimension and color to our houses. It's the perfect 3D addition. We're gonna move on by adding some more detail to the houses, and we're gonna use this beautiful ribbon. I purchased this at Michael's. It's thin, it's cream, and it's got gold detail on it as well. So what I did with this ribbon was I just cut off a segment and I tied it into a bow. Then I hot glued it to the center of the house. The bow's fabulous as is, but we are going to take it to the next level. Again, we're gonna use our inspiration house to get some ideas. This has some little silver balls around the greenery and also on the Christmas trees. I want to add some pearls to our village houses. So while I was at Hobby Lobby, I went down the wedding aisle and I saw their items were on sale, so I picked up a large bag of pearls. These are so pretty, and they will coordinate beautifully with all the other details that we're adding to our houses. I hot glued the pearl to the center of the bow, and then I also hot glued more pearls around the center right in the greenery. These pearls add elegance and a beautiful detail to these houses. Once I was finished adding the bows and the pearls to the first house, I moved on to the second house and did the exact same thing. I cut a segment of ribbon and tied it into a bow, and then I hot glued it to the house. Then I hot glued an additional pearl to the center of the bow, and then also right on top of the greenery. And finally, I moved on to my third house. Once again, I tied that ribbon into a bow, hot glued it to the house, and then added additional pearls to give this house elegance and an additional 3D detail. And now we are done embellishing our fabulous Dollar Tree village houses. Look at how cute those are, you guys. I love the little sparkle that our glitter adds. I love that we painted them white. It gave us a fantastic neutral backdrop. The gold paint pen made all of those raised details stand out and be prominent. Plus, it gave us a fun pop of color. It will also tie in with our other village houses. The pearls add elegance to our house, and I love the ribbon. These were so easy to transform, so affordable. So in the next couple months, when the Dollar Tree comes out with these village houses, just know that you could turn this into this with a little bit of paint, glitter, and a few fancy embellishments. And look at how nicely these Dollar Tree village houses now coordinate with my more expensive village houses. They look like they were a set, and I love how they're unique and different in their own way, but because of the color scheme and all of the embellishments, they coordinate together and look like a set. Now that we have transformed our village houses, we need to figure out a way to display them. We are going to be creating a North Pole wintry village, and at the North Pole, I envision mountains. So we are going to create a display that has different levels so that we can elevate our houses, just like what I imagine they would be at the North Pole. So we need to get something that we can put our village houses on top of. Well, while I was at Hobby Lobby, I found some paper mache boxes. This set of 3 stacking boxes was only $8.99. And you could definitely wait until these boxes were on sale to get them even cheaper. But there are 3 boxes per set. I've got a small box, a medium box, and a large box. And you don't even have to buy boxes. I'm sure you've got some boxes at home. You can use rectangular boxes or square boxes. I had envisioned a round box, so that's why I purchased mine. I'm actually only going to be using 2 of these boxes. I'm going to be using the large box and the small box because we're going to be stacking them on top of each other. Now, one thing that needs to be changed is the color of these paper mache boxes. I don't like the brown. That doesn't fit in with the North Pole, so we need to change it. I'm going to be using some wrapping paper. I purchased this wrapping paper a while ago at Ross, and look at how pretty the detailing is on this wrapping paper. It's white with some silver, and it's got these beautiful designs on it. This to me is more like the North Pole. We've got our shimmery shine, and we've got that white color tone. This is going to be perfect. So what I'm going to do is cut this wrapping paper into strips. I measured the box height and then traced out a line, then cut out a 5-inch wide strip of wrapping paper. You can see that it fits perfectly around the circumference of the box. Then I did the exact same thing with the smaller box. I measured the height, then I cut out a strip that would fit perfectly around the circumference of the small box. We are going to hot glue the wrapping paper to the box. So I added a line of hot glue to the box and then pressed the wrapping paper into the hot glue. I added additional hot glue to the side of the box. I pulled the wrapping paper tightly so there weren't any air bubbles or crinkles, and I pressed it into the hot glue. I repeated this process around the entire circumference of the round box. Once I got back to the beginning, I added more hot glue and pressed the wrapping paper firmly to the box. Then I repeated the process. I added the hot glue to the box. I pressed the wrapping paper into the hot glue. I added hot glue around the circumference of the box and pressed the wrapping paper to the box. Once we were back to the beginning, I added more hot glue to the box and then pressed the wrapping paper into the hot glue. If you like seasonal decorating, high-end dupes, thrift flips, Dollar Tree DIYs, room transformations, and so much more, then you have come to the right place. I post new weekly videos, so make sure you're subscribed so you can get your weekly dose of home decor inspiration. We need to cover up the top of the lid as well. So what I'm going to do is take both of my lids, put them over the top of the wrapping paper. I traced around the large lid and then traced around the small one. Then I cut out the large circle and then cut out the smaller circle. I'm going to hot glue the large circle to the top of the lid, so I added the hot glue around the edge of the lid and I pressed the wrapping paper into the hot glue. Once my first lid had been covered in the wrapping paper, I moved on. I did the exact same thing on my small box. I added the hot glue to the top of the lid, pressed the wrapping paper into the hot glue until all of the edges of the wrapping paper had been sufficiently adhered to the lid. Now the last thing we need to do is cover up the rim of our lid, and we are going to be doing it with this ribbon that I purchased on the Amazon haul website. Look at how gorgeous this ribbon is. It's white and silver. It has that same silvery sheen as our wrapping paper, and look at how beautifully these two pieces coordinate together. It was like they were meant to be put together, and that's why I purchased this ribbon. 7 yards of this ribbon was only a couple of dollars. It looks so high-end and expensive, yet it was just a couple of dollars, which is what I love about the Amazon haul website. So what I'm going to do with this ribbon is hot glue it to the rim. Then I simply continue to hot glue the ribbon to the perimeter of the box. It's the perfect height for our boxes, so it covers up the rim beautifully. Once I got back to the beginning, I trimmed the ribbon and hot glued it in place. Then I repeated the process on the second lid. I'm going to add the hot glue to the box, press the ribbon into the hot glue, and then continue to add the hot glue to the rim of the box. I pressed the ribbon to the hot glue, and then once I got back to the beginning, I trimmed it and pressed it into the hot glue. Now you can really see up close how nicely these two pieces coordinate together. The ribbon and the wrapping paper look like they should have always been partnered together. I love the white and the silver. It looks high-end, expensive, and wintry. This box came a long way from the brown paper mache box that we purchased at Hobby Lobby. And boxes like these are another way that you can completely customize your design into your specific Christmas color scheme and style. Now that our Christmas villages have been transformed and our boxes are prepped and ready, we need something that we can put everything on top of. And we're actually going to be using a mirror. I had to have this mirror when I saw it at Hobby Lobby in the clearance section. I am such a sucker for anything scalloped. I loved scalloped details, and this mirror had that gorgeous scallop detail along the edge. I also love the size of the mirror. It wasn't too big, it wasn't too small. It's going to be just perfect for our display. And look at the price. It was only $8.99, which is a fantastic deal. One thing that I do not like about this mirror is the color, because we're going for a wintry village feel. The black is not going to work, but that's an easy fix. We're going to paint that, but first we need to protect the mirror itself. So I got some copy paper and blue painter's tape. Copy paper is such a great solution because there's always a little gap between the mirror and the frame where you can just slide that paper right underneath and then tape it in place. Once the mirror had been protected, I took it outside and we're gonna spray it in that same white gloss Rust-Oleum spray paint. I sprayed along the edges, the sides, and the top of this mirror. I made sure it was 100% coated in the spray paint. We don't want to see any of the original color. Once everything was sufficiently covered in the spray paint, I let it dry for 1 hour. Now I can remove the copy paper and blue painter's tape to reveal a freshly painted, bright white, snowy mirror. In order to turn this mirror into a tray, we are going to add some feet to it. So what I did was I just rummaged through my container of knobs, and I found 3 gold knobs that had some great raised detail around the edge. They're shiny, which I think is going to be a great contrast to everything else that we have going on our display. So what I'm going to do is get some E6000 and add E6000 to each one of our knobs. Then I press the knobs to the bottom of the mirror. I spread these knobs out equidistant to each other. Once I had added the E6000 to all of the knobs, I let the glue dry overnight. And now we have a stunning, one-of-a-kind tray that we created out of a mirror. Now, I've done this before. I love using mirrors when I decorate because it reflects everything on top. It also reflects light. It's definitely one of my favorite design hacks. So if you see a mirror that's on sale or on clearance, or you just have a mirror that's in your closet at home, pull it out, add either some handles to it or some feet to it, and turn it into a tray. This mirror tray is going to be the perfect base to our wintry village scene. All right, you guys, we are almost finished, but we need one more thing. We need everybody to know that this wintry village is at the North Pole. So we've got to create a banner. And we are going to do it with this ribbon that I purchased at Target. This is Christmas ribbon. It's white and it's got the gold lines on either side. This is actually the mama version of the baby version. So this is going to be fantastic. These ribbons are going to coordinate together. What I'm going to do with this ribbon is get some iron-on vinyl, and I'm going to create a decal and then add it to the center of the ribbon. In the search bar on my Cricut Design Space, I typed in North Pole and then I selected the design I wanted. I sized it to the size I needed, and then I had my Cricut Maker cut it out on some smart gold iron-on vinyl. I placed my vinyl decal in the center of the ribbon, and then I heated my Easy Press up to 330 degrees. I pressed it over the top of the iron-on decal. I set the timer for 30 seconds. Once it was up, I removed the Easy Press and then peeled away the protective coating over the top of my decal. And look at how cute that banner is, you guys. The gold vinyl matches perfectly with the gold lines on the ribbon, and I simply love that lettering. Now we need a way to hold our banner up. We need some little posts. So we're going to be using some fancy toothpicks with these pearls on it. These are left over from Mac and Ellie's wedding. I purchased way too many of these, you guys, but they looked so cute. They were in the center of some little pinwheels, and they just added some fanciness to our buffet. Well, guess what? I've got loads of these left over, and the pearls match fantastically with the pearls that we have on our village houses. So I knew these were going to be perfect. First, I need to dovetail the end of each ribbon. So I folded the ribbon in half. I cut one side and did the exact same thing on the other side. Then I added some hot glue to the toothpick, and I pressed one side of the ribbon into the hot glue. I added hot glue to the other, a fancy skewer, and I pressed the opposite side of the ribbon banner to the hot glue. And now I have my adorable North Pole banner that's going to be so cute and very informational on our wintry village. All right, now we have everything we need to create our wintry village scene. So let's do it. The base of our wintry village is our fantastic scalloped tray. That's going to be the bottom, and then I'm going to take my large box. You can see that I already hot glued my banner to the box. I'm going to place my box at the back of the tray. That way we have plenty of space for our village houses. Then I'm going to take my smaller box and I'm going to place that again towards the back of the box. That way we have enough space for our village houses. All right, now let's get our adorable wintry village houses out. I'm going to place 3 at the bottom. I've got my 2 Dollar Tree ones, one of my higher end expensive village houses. I've got 3 houses on the bottom tier. I'm going to place 2 houses on this second tier, and then I've got one for the top. I think that this one was so cute, so I want it to be prominent, and that's why it gets the top. Now you can see that we've got a lot of vacant areas open. We need to fill that up. I'm actually going to be using some bottle brush Christmas trees because you can see we've already got a couple mini bottle brush Christmas trees on the houses that I already purchased. So what we're going to do is get a variety of different sized and shaped bottle brush Christmas trees, and I'm just going to add those to each level. Not only does this fill in any gaps, but it adds a great color contrast, it adds height variation, and it makes our village feel full and lush. And just like that, we are finished creating our North Pole wintry village display. This is so adorable. It turned out so much better than I had envisioned in my mind. The houses are definitely the star of the scene. I love the embellishments that we added. The pearls make them feel elegant and they coordinate with all of the other details from the other houses. The boxes elevate the look of this display. The classic pattern with that white and silver is so pretty. And the ribbon that coordinates, how lucky are we that we were able to find something that paired so beautifully with our wrapping paper. The bottle brush Christmas trees really bring in that wintry Christmas feel, and our little banner That was exactly what this display needed. It needed a little something extra to make it personal, and that ribbon really did the trick. So all you need to do to create a display like this is get a tray, get some Dollar Tree houses, embellish them the way that you want them to be embellished, get a couple of boxes, some bottle brush Christmas trees, a little sign, and you're good to go. And it's so custom and unique, mainly because of the way that we displayed it. This was such an easy project, anyone could do it, which proves that you can live beautifully and you can do it easily and affordably. This video was so much fun. It's got me really excited for this upcoming holiday season. And guess what, you guys? I already have a theme. I've got some decorations. I've got my ribbons. I am well on my way to the holiday season this year already. But before we get there, we've got to have fall. In fact, I put out a fall video last week where I created this beautiful tablescape. Well, this upcoming week, we are going to be giving my bedroom a fall makeover. It's gonna look so festive. So make sure you're subscribed so you won't miss out on that video. Well, thanks again to Shannon from the Cozy Christmas Cottage and all of the fabulous participants that are creating some wonderful Christmas DIYs. I will leave a link to the playlist in my description box so you can watch all of the videos and feel inspired. Well, I hope you got some inspiration or some ideas today. I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much for watching.